Good afternoon. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. Today I have a book review of Steve Barry's The Alexandria Link. This is book number 2 in the Cotton Malone series. This book was published in 2007, and the summary of this plot really is around Cotton Malone. He receives this anonymous email, and he's being asked to retrieve something or else his son is going to die. He has 72 hours, and it becomes real when his ex-wife, Pam, shows up at his bookstore abroad, and his whole life kind of turns upside down. And they learn very quickly that they mean business when his bookstore is burned to the ground and they're accosted and they have to run away and avoid police at every turn and use every resource known to their disposal, which is very limited. Then you have also kind of a political thing going on as his former boss and friend Stephanie from the Magellan Group is also kind of uncovering that there's some kind of United States political element that's tied to what Malone is doing. And so there's multiple different fronts and points of view. And Cotton Malone has to deal with trying to find out what's going on with all of this and do it in such a fast pace. And he has to deal with his ex-wife, which they're not exactly, enamored with each other anymore. So it's definitely some dynamic and interesting conflict through this. So I probably won't get into any spoilers here, so no need to turn it off. But what I really enjoyed about this novel is it has a really good start and finish. They're really fast paced. The premise of the story is really intriguing, and I like the fast pace of both kind of sides of the book, the beginning and the end. I think that the end has a very satisfying and solid conclusion to the story and the conflict, and along with finding out what's going to happen down the road and what may happen leading up to the next book. I really like the ex-wife dynamic. I think it lended itself to some interesting conversations. I really felt like in book 1 in this series, the conversations were really rough and forced and they weren't smooth. And I thought it was a little more believable and real in this particular entry into the series. I did find some parts funny, actually. I didn't find a whole lot funny in the first book. And so I really enjoyed the one part where they're doing the parachute jump. I just thought that was really funny. I won't go into why, but if you read the book or have read the book, you'll understand what I'm probably referring to. I also enjoyed kind of the connections around the Library of Alexandria, how it had kind of connections to geopolitical theology, and they talked a lot about Judaism and Islam and the Old Testament and making sure that, one religion is like, do we have the correct translations when they were translated from Latin into, or did people kind of, embellish in some of those translations, and what that would mean if we've thought for hundreds or thousands of years that this was the translation of the text and it wasn't correct. And so having the ability to go to this Library of Alexandria where they believe there is actual texts that are the foundation of what some of this was written off of in terms of the Bible and other books, they really felt like, it would solidify things. And so there is a lot of ambition from different factions. You had Islam, you had, people, even Christians that were interested, which is why the United States was interested. So it was very interesting to kind of see how those dynamics would play into, this, other than just finding some library that you have to, figure out the clues to figure out where it is and what its location is. And so I thought those were all very interesting parts of the book. The dislikes I had was really, and I'm still new with Barry as an author, and so I like these books. I like the premise of the story. You have this Indiana Robert Langdon type character. He has this really good memory. So I really like the setup of the character. Barry as an author, though, I there's a couple things I dislike. I think there's this one in particular. There was a lot of jumping cut. Like you were jumping from Cotton and his ex-wife and trying to find Gary, and then you have is Torliver, or the guy from the first book was back again. The jump cut to him and helping with Gary, Cotton and Pam's son. Then you had the cuts to the president and vice president, the attorney general, and you had all of these, and you were cutting from not only to the points of view and the conversations, you were cutting to, where they're over in the Sinai Peninsula, and then we're cutting back over to, Martha's Vineyard, or we're cutting over to Camp David in Maryland, and it was just all, it's hard to follow a little bit, and so that was a little off-putting. The middle of the book feels bloated. I felt that way with the first entry as well. I thought it was just a little heavy, and I thought this one was too. I think this one comes in just shy of like 475. You could have cut 100 pages and this would have been still a great book, really solid book. I just thought it was just a little much in parts, but overall I enjoyed it. So those are really my only dislikes. So in terms of rating, I give this a 4 out of 5. I think it's a step above. I went back and looked at what I gave the first entry, and I gave, which is the Templar Legacy, I gave that a 3.8. So this is definitely an improvement. Obviously, I'm going to continue reading them. I've got like the first, I think, 5 or 6 of them. And so definitely going to continue slowly reading through these, picking one up every so often and getting through it. Again, I enjoy the character. I'm going to get accustomed to his writing. Obviously, if you know me, I jump from a lot of different series. So there's a lot of different authors, especially, so you get from, going from a Louis L'Amour to this, it's like, it's night and day difference. So, but anyways, I really I had a good time with this. This was a really solid read, definitely a step above the first book. I enjoyed it. Another entry in the Cotton Malone series. So I enjoyed it, definitely. Again, this was a recommendation from Nerdishly Active. He put me on this series. Again, I like this book. So that's my review. Steve Barry, the Alexandria Link, 4 out of 5 stars. Hope you're having a great evening. And be on the lookout in a little while. I'll be having my weekly wrap up. So hope you're having a great evening, and I will talk to you later. Bye.